Ashley, I'm going to start the same way that I start all of these little talks. I just want you to take 2 minutes, tell us who you are, and totally shamelessly brag about yourself is the goal. Just tell us who you are, what you've done, why you're so awesome, and why we brought you here.
I'm Ashley Levesque. I'm the VP of Marketing at Banzai. I've been at Bonzai for 3 years, maybe. And at Bonzai, I run corporate marketing. So within that includes internal and external communications, PR, public relations, analyst relations, investor relations, content, website, brand, messaging, positioning, all sorts of cool stuff, events, partnerships. Really happy, really love my job. I like doing all of those things. I've been in marketing for a long time. Before I was at Bonzai, I was at Demio, actually, which was acquired by Bonzai. Before that, I ran marketing at a robotics startup, which was super fun. And yeah, I've held a lot of marketing roles. I've held the demand gen roles. I've filled the operations roles, and I really like marketing. I really like tech SaaS marketing.
For now, yeah, you've run the gambit. It sounds like you just have a whole bunch of different interests. I love it. I'm similar too. Different things written for fintech and SaaS, but robotics is a new one though. That must have been cool.
Super cool. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really fun.
Intimidating to break into it all? I would be
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Very old school, risk averse kind of industry. A lot of, we don't need to be marketed to murmur, but in fact, they do. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What a weird mentality for such an innovative field like robotics.
I
You don't
know. I
need
know.
okay, sorry. Let's hop into this. As the VP of Marketing at Bonzai, would you just tell us how you've been using AI or how AI has influenced really the way that you're handling all of those responsibilities? You're responsible for so much there. Is AI helping you? Is it causing a bitter headache? How's it impacting your work?
Absolutely. Yeah. So all of these functions that I mentioned, I am a team of one and very quickly went to AI to help me with my bandwidth problems. Jacqueline and I were talking about this last week, and there are some fundamental foundational things that have to happen in marketing. And SEO blog content is the big one. It is also the one that takes the most amount of time. And so I found myself with a litany of blog posts that needed to go onto the website. And I just didn't have the time to sit down and front to back create outlines, create internal links, create the actual content, get it SEO optimized. And so I throw it all to AI. Copy.ai helps me identify what should the outline look like, what should the actual content look like. And then once I get it perfect, I then can go back and say, great, how should I distribute this? Oh, okay, here's your social copy for Facebook and for LinkedIn. And it creates this whole end-to-end campaign for me where it would have taken me so much longer to do it by myself. I would really depend on AI to get these things done. We straight up would not have an SEO program at all if not for AI. I just wouldn't be able to do it.
This is for the record, for anyone listening, we did not just like cash pay her to say that. This is like legitimate user feedback.
Ruth,
With the SEO stuff, where do you find the importance of the human in the loop in the process as you're creating the articles with AI? Because we all know you can't just post and ghost. Not great. So where is your human in the loop in that process?
it's an editing. It's an editing. After I get the piece from AI, I go back through, I add a little bit more of my voice and tone. I also add all of my internal links. I make sure that the context is right. I make sure that it matches the format that I need inside of my pieces. There's a consistency to the way that we present for our brand. So it is 100% after I get the content that I spend some time as a human looking over it and making sure that it's something that sounds like a human, but it just takes me so less time to do that than it does to start from the beginning. I would much rather spend 45 minutes or an hour editing and having it then be done versus spending 45 to an hour on just an outline, knowing that I still have to create it and I still at the end have to edit it, have to do internal linking, have to find my graphics, all of that stuff. It significantly cuts down on my time. But yeah, that human element is still important.
Oh, this is great though. And I totally agree on the editing front there. It's so valuable in that regard. Jacqueline, you look like you wanted to pop in. I was cutting you off.
No, not at all. I'm listening. I love all the tidbits. And Ashley and I talked about this before too, how the human in the loop is definitely still important, but it's not necessarily having a human spend hours upon hours painstakingly like putting together a brief. Like at some point, there has to be something's got to give versus spending hours on something, trying to perfect it versus like launch something. And if AI can help you do a lot of those menial repetitive steps, I think that's great, especially for an SEO program. Like they are one of the hardest things for content demand gen people to helm. So
Think that's actually exactly the value prop that I said at the robotics company too, which is there are tasks that are not meant for people. These repetitive, menial tasks, they're just not meant for humans. We need to outsource them to robots and AI that can free us up to better use our time.
Oh, I could not agree with you more. Like in the world of sales, we were talking about the SDRs get in grunt work, and it's nothing fulfilling for humans at all. And I've been in the content writing world where it was 1 to 2 blog posts a day by hand. I knew everything that had to be in there. I was just like, there has to be a better way to just get it out there from here to there. AI offered that solution. Now it'll do it in 5 minutes, and I can use what I know to just polish it up. This is great. Okay, now this is the part that we did cash pay you to talk about. What is, okay, out of all the tools that you've played with AI, obviously Copy AI is not perceived to be unique in this space as many people think it's just a copywriting tool. It's obviously much more. Was there anything unique about Copy AI though that told you to use that platform as opposed to any of its perceived competitors, ChatGPT, Ride, or Jasper, things like that?
It was workflows, 100% workflows. It was a problem I didn't know I had because I literally didn't know that AI could even do that for me. My understanding of AI as I entered into the AI sphere through ChatGPT was content. It can create content for me. I can tell it what I want and it'll spit out a thing for me. But the idea that it could also automate some of my processes as part of that content creation never crossed my mind. And like I was saying before, the ability to have more of an end to end campaign experience that can be managed in Copy AI is so much more beneficial than simply spitting out a blog post and then still needing to do all of the other steps that still have to be done. So I use it all the time for that. I love being able to do my blog post and then say, okay, now I have to tell the world about this blog post. So how do I do that? Okay, here's some copy for social and here's a bunch of different examples of copy of social. It's not just one example, it's a ton of them. That is really the difference that has made Copy AI stand out.
Man, that is great. Thank you so much. And we are thrilled with the workflows. Haven't seen a good competitor to that yet. I was wondering one question, and you talked about being a team of one. And I specifically want to ask you this as a team of one. So please answer honestly. I'm not trying to question bait you here. As a team of one, are you concerned about being pressured to stay a team of one because you have all these tools and that it's going to replace the humans you would have hired to help you out? Or do you feel like this will help you get your department to a place where you can start hiring humans to do more creative work? In other words, do you think it's going to replace the hiring potential, or do you think it's just going to increase the creativity of the people you hire?
I think we as marketers need to identify what those creative elements are that are really required. And it fundamentally does change the way our marketing departments operate. We have historically always hired for content writer, social media manager. A lot of it is written work. Now, with the opportunity for AI to free us up to do other things, I do think, Nathan, that it will be the latter. However, I'm not sure that we fully know how to do that yet. I think it really requires us to fundamentally relook at the structure of our organization and the needs of the business. Because we've always done things the same way for so long, there's a status quo that we need to shake up because AI has forced us to do, and it requires a deeper look.
Unmute. That's awesome. And it really sounds like in line with our new CMO, Kyle Coleman, is a big fan of the book Play Bigger. Christopher Lochhead, one of the authors. And one thing that they stress in that book is that thinking about thinking is actually the most important type of thinking, because most people execute without a plan and they just do it because they've always done it. But you're right in terms of rethinking the processes. So let me jump inside your mind really quickly. You are juggling 10, 12 different things. How are you rethinking about processes and marketing processes now with AI?
That's a great question. So I'm thinking about restructuring my team actually in real time. And by restructuring, I mean creating one, because again, I'm a person of one. But what I'm thinking about are what are there's like a Venn diagram here somewhere that I'm trying to build around what are the needs of the business. So what have I identified that marketing can do to create the largest impact to the business? What are the levers we can pull? Okay, so that's one little circle. Then there's what are the things that AI can serve that people no longer need to serve? So that's another kind of element. And then there's also growth and opportunity as the Venn diagram, empowering marketers to grow within their role and be able to either take on more responsibility or get nicher in their responsibility, depending on kind of what they want to do. All of those things are things I'm trying to map out as I identify who needs to come onto the team. One thing I'm thinking about, for example, is a team of one, literally up until yesterday. This is like a true story. Up until yesterday, on my budget, I had a head for a content writer because we're a public company now. And like I mentioned, public relations, investor relations, content in the website, social media, everything is content, right? Everything marketing does is content. However, a lot of that can be handled by AI, and the priorities of the business don't lend itself to that being the most impactful lever that I could pull this year. So I switched it to an events person, because events are something that people need to do. I need to fly someone to do a field event for me. They need to be on site. They need to do the logistics. We're going to bring in a certain amount of revenue from that. That's a big lever that I can pull. And then I can do both. I can still have the content creation that I don't have to give up because AI can do it for me, but I can't afford to have two heads. So I had to pick what's going to be the most beneficial. And so literally yesterday on my budget spreadsheet, I changed it to an events manager because I think it will allow me to have the best of both worlds, or at least try it out. I don't know what it will look like yet, but I can at least test it.
This is so great. Seriously. And just to be a narcissist and make the conversation about me, I will tell you that is exactly what I was thinking about a month and a half ago, which led to these types of interviews. Before AI, I would have either been taking so many notes on this call that I wouldn't be able to actually focus on what you're saying, like actually have a conversation.
Yes.
Or I would spend the next 10 hours after this call trying to figure out how to make you sound like you, which is hard because I'm me. But now I can take the transcript from this and I can fine tune it and polish it in our workflow and have it create that text-based content. And like you said, you get the best of both worlds. I don't just have to be a blogger anymore. I get to be a talker. I don't like talking. So
I love that example. It's another thing I was talking to Jacqueline about. It's just all of the use cases that haven't even revealed themselves yet. Because I love the Henry Ford quote that says, if you ask the audience, if you ask the people what they want, they're going to say they want a faster car because they just don't know what the capabilities are yet. So I love talking to other people about how they're using AI too, because I've never thought of this stuff before. It's amazing.
I really wanted to steal and repurpose that quote. It's funny you said that the weekend. I was like, how can we say something like, if we'd asked companies what they'd want, they would have said more humans or something like, I don't know. I could figure it out. But yes, just more inefficient stuff. It's anyway.
And if we learned anything from 2023 and 2022, where tech layoffs and marketing budgets were slashed substantially, we know that overhiring is another thing that businesses really need to be mindful of. We really need to be careful about throwing bodies at problems. So I agree. I think that is absolutely something that we should be keeping in mind It's not, people don't solve all problems.
Yeah.
I love
And you
that.
know what? Actually, I think that's a great point that you brought up, Ashley, about the business need. So a lot of people are either so fearful that AI will just wipe out certain departments altogether, like marketing, even sales. There's a lot of conversations right now about how will AI replace all these different sales functions. I think that conversation was already happening about marketing. But when people step back, it's like, okay, let's look at the 1,000-foot view or the bird's eye view or whatever they call it, which is sometimes a business only needs certain roles. And if AI can be leveraged to help those roles be more strategic, more creative, like we were talking about, free up your time to work on things that are more impactful and make you feel valuable, that is a business need because you want to keep the great people you have while avoiding bloat in like hiring a bunch of people and then saying 6 months down the road, oh crap, we didn't actually need all those people. And we didn't think about the business need. It was just like short term, what I call like instant gratification hiring, similar to like instant gratification marketing and sales. Do you need 10 SDRs or do you need a couple really good solutions engineers and leverage AI alongside those people? So your point about business need is huge. And I think companies are still getting to that point where they're trying to figure out what that business need looks like. And it's going to be like rapidly obvious. Like AI is still something that humans can leverage. It doesn't have to replace everybody. You just have to be smart about who are you hiring and how will they use AI is really what it comes down to, I think.
And sales and marketing is always about listening to the market, right? So the market is shifting, buyers are changing the way they buy, and AI is just adapting to the reality of the market. 75% of B2B buyers don't want to talk to a salesperson anymore. They just
Hmm.
don't. So if AI can solve that problem, what job is it taking away? There's no job there to take away. They don't want to talk to someone anyway. It's not a conversation of taking jobs. It's a conversation of how can we better utilize the people that we have? Where can we put them to better serve what the business and the market needs? Why are we continuing to hire AEs if nobody wants to talk to an AE? Now, before everyone LinkedIn's me, let me just say, I know people want to talk to AEs. I get it. I love AEs. And also, data shows what data shows. So I think we have to be able to think through these things as part of our hiring plans. I think you're exactly right.
And that was a great disclaimer before people just start rage messaging Ashley on LinkedIn. Just cool it. Just relax a little. She loves AEs,
I do.
account directors, SDRs, all of it. Okay. Pop question, because I know you've got a million things to do, and so I'm going to keep you for just 2 minutes extra. I'm sorry. Last question. I love to ask everyone this. What was your first or worst job and a lesson that you took from it that's carried with you?
Okay.
You don't have to name the company, but it's always juicier if you do.
My first ever job was at a teen center. A friend of mine, her dad opened up basically a club for 18 and or for 17 and under. So it was like bands would come and play, there were dancing, and I was like the soda girl behind the bar. So I got everyone sodas. And it was a lot of drama. It was everyone went to this teen center to break up with their boyfriend, to find a new boyfriend, to confront the girl in their classroom. It was just
Right.
constant pockets in this teen center of just like fighting.
Oh.
And I was the soda girl. And also I became therapist and bouncer and wedged my way into conversations that I wasn't being asked to wedge into. And it definitely taught me about wearing a lot of hats and maintaining my cool under pressure. And I got out of that job as quickly as possible. And I guarantee that's not still standing. I don't even know. It's a cool idea, but I don't really know that it's very valuable for the kids or the town.
That is a crack up. You were the soda girl at the teen center handling the drama. And so a mix of therapist and bouncer. And now I'm imagining you with a face tattoo just kicking the crap out of these teens who are causing trouble. This is great.
Absolutely. It's like imagine going to a bar and you see all of the sad people at the bar and they're drinking and their heads on the bar. Same thing, just with spray.
Oh, I get it. Because instead of alcohol, it's just hormones. No, that makes sense. It's just a different chemical flooding the veins. Okay.
It's like a weird fight club that's non-violent, but just really dramatic
There
and
you
kind of
go.
prepares you for marketing a little bit. That's almost like your first job in marketing. You are navigating everything. You're like, do I join this conversation? Do I need to be in this meeting? And then the older you get in marketing, you're like, actually, I don't want to be in that meeting. So never mind. So you leave.
I'm opting out. Thank you so much, but no, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Opting out. I like it.
Oh. And Ashley, we will link to where people can find you. Would you share what the best way? LinkedIn, email, if people wanted to?
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Find me on
Cool.
LinkedIn. I'm very active there. I would love to be connected.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have so much to do, so we really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. It was fun to talk.